Welcome to Python with Andrew, where we're going to continue to look at object-oriented programming using classes and objects in Python. And if you've missed them, I've already done 2 videos on the basics of classes and objects. Please review that if you haven't seen them already, because on this one I want to stop before we take into some more complex concepts and just do a simple example of how we would think about using objects and classes, how we would define them and so forth. And you'll see that we spend more time in the design and the thinking so that we can make it easier when it comes to coding. So let's do a simple example. Let's jump over to my code, which is empty, of course, at the moment. But let me explain what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to write a few notes on this, and then I'm going to, if you write some code. So my example, the first example I've been using is tennis player. So I'm going to continue that idea. And imagine if we have a tournament, a tennis tournament, and in that tennis tournament, we have lots and lots of players that join the tournament. Some of the major tennis tournaments around the world might have 64 players. The majors have 128 players. For my example, we'll probably stick to 4 players just because it'll get too long. But so we have players, and then we have matches. Player 1 plays player 2, and they have a result, etc. So we've got 3 objects going on. We have a tournament object that has all the information about a tournament. And then we have a player, which has all the information about the player. And then we have matches, which has all the information about matches. And if you start thinking about what we're doing, you'll start to see some relationship to the work we could be doing in the database area. And you'll see there's a nice connection between if we had this all on a database external to our program, and we brought the data into objects, worked with them, and then maybe put them back out to a database. So objects are a good data structure to use in that particular case. Other people might use other data structures, but I think objects are a nice way of thinking about the problem. So in this particular one, we're going to have, let me just put some comments in here. We're going to have a tournament object. Actually, let me define it. And this tournament object is going to include information about our tennis tournament. Right? And it also might include some methods. Like joining, a player might join the tournament, as an example. And then down here, we might have another class of matches. All right. And in that, so this is going to include information about matches. Date, players, result, etc. Maybe even the round. And then we might have methods like a win, a loss. So you can start seeing that I'm just putting some notes down to, if you like, define what I'm about to do. And then we might have a class player, which includes player information. And we've already seen that in my other example, including a print and all that sort of stuff. I won't go much further there. Okay, so that's our 3 objects. So far, so good. So let's have a look at our tournament object, and I'm going to create an init function. And in our tournament, we're going to have a name of the tournament. we're going to have a start date, an end date, maybe a location, prize money, and then we might have a list of players, right, which we'll add as we go along. And we might have a list of matches. So in this particular init, we're going to say self.name equals name. So whatever the tournament name is, self.start equals the start date. Doesn't matter in this case whether we're using date objects or whether we're using it's just a string, because it doesn't really matter for this. Equals and self.money equals money. We've got one. Self.location equals location. And the last thing I'm going to add here is list of self.list of players. List of players. Let's just do that. I'm going to make that an empty list because no one's joined yet. And self.list of matches equals another empty list. So that's all the information we're going to keep about the tournament. In reality, we could have a lot more information, and that would be great. So down here, let me start by creating a tournament. Tournament 1 equals tournament. And we're going to call it the Brisbane Tennis Championship. I'm from that area, and it's going to start on, I don't know, the December. I'm just going to use months, and it's going to finish in December, just so I don't put an exact date. And the location is going to be Brisbane, and the prize money is going to be $1 million. All right. So if I run that, hopefully it works. I'm not going to get any output, of course, but we now have our tennis tournament, which is great. Now I'm going to copy over the, I think I had a one for tennis player. Number of name, games, wins, and their ranking when they create a player. And the last thing I want to do is I might actually bring the print over as well. I think I created a print by should work. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create my tennis players, and I'm going to add, so tennis player 1 and tennis player 2. And I'm going to print, that's just player. I think we'll just call them player in this case. If you're wondering where I got all this from, it's because I put them in the last video. Player 1, player 2, and print details. Okay, so that's my example, and I've got some people in the tournament. Now, for my tournament, I might want to have another function that allows you to join, allows I'm going to just call it join tournament. Self and player. You can see that I've already got a player as an argument to a function, which is fine. There's nothing different about that. And I'm going to do self dot list of players. Oops, players dot append player. All right. So all I'm doing that is I am adding that person to the tournament. Okay. So nothing. So down here, I print the details, and now I'm going to tournament 1 dot join tournament TP1. Okay. And I'm going to do, oops. And I'm also going to add player 2. Okay. So now I've created some players, Andrew and Fred, printed out their details just so we could see, and now we're adding them to the tournament. Okay. So you can see that I've got, as I'm building this, I'm building the method to set up a tournament, the method to join a tournament, the method to create and print players. Now, what would be good is if I had some a print details for the tournament as well. So I'm going to just copy this one. Oops. Just so I'm consistent, and print details. I'm going to call that tournament name. That's self.name, tournament start, self.start. I'll worry about the end, and I'll do location. And self.location. And players. And for players, what I'm going to do is I'm going to not just list out their details. I'm just going to do their names. So it's self. What I'm going to do here for player in self.list of players. So for every player, I'm going to do player.print details. Okay. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually using print tournament details, just so we don't get confused. That was print player details, player.print details. Okay, so before I press go on this, I'm going to clean that up. Just worried here that player in list of players, player print details. Doesn't look like that's going to work. We might try and see why that is the case. Okay, so I'm not going to print these ones out here. We're going to print them out under the tournament. So hopefully what I'm trying to do here is I've got my tournament, my players, I've joined them to the tournament, and now I want to print the tournament details. Let's see what I get. Yeah, it does work. So it tells me the tournament details, and then it starts to list the players. I could probably have done that with a new line character there. You can see my formatting is not that fancy, but least it gives you the idea. Maybe I should have put the word players under that. But you can see now, and especially if you look at this a bit more detailed, you have got a tournament, and in that tournament you've got players, and then you've got matches. Now with a match, we can carry on down here and say, what happens in a match? Well, and let's do an initialization. Just copy one of these because I like not doing a lot of work. And we're going to do the date and the players, player, and the result. Actually, let's just have it so we're setting up so that we don't know the result yet. We just got player 1 and player 2. Okay, and we're doing date and player 1 is equal to player 1. And player 2 equals player 2. And the result, we don't know the result yet, so we're not even going to do that. Okay, player 2. So now I've initialized a match. So down here, we have a match 1 equals match. Oops, that matches. Actually, it's just before match. Let's take that ES out of it because it doesn't make sense. A match between, what's it between? It's got a date, so we're going to have December 1st, and it's between TP1 and TP2. Okay. And so that's match 1. And in fact, we might even add that to the tournament, right, straight away. Because remember, we have up here in tournament, we have a list of matches. Okay, so I might even change that and say tournament 1 dot list of matches dot append. I'm just going to add it straight into that tournament. Okay. And if we had another match with another 2 players, we could add that to it as well. Okay. And what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to try and run that. Let's see what happens if I run that. Shouldn't do anything different. All we know is inside we should have had another match. So let's go back up to our print tournament details. What I'm going to do here, print players. So we've got a title there. And then I'm going to, oops. Print matches. And I'm going to do the same sort of thing in here. For for matches, match in self dot list of matches. Now I don't have a print details in my match, so I'm going to create one. You can see what I'm doing here as I go along. I'm basically copying and pasting a lot of the same sort of things that we might do. So we might have print, I'm going to call it print match details. And in the print match details, we might do the date, and then we might print player 1. Self.player1 dot print details. Okay, this matches print match detail. So let's explain what I've done. And you can see that I'm building it up iteratively. Every time I need a new function, I work out where is it going to go, and I build that. And you'll start seeing that each one along the way, I'm doing the same sort of thing. So I've got to print tournament details, I've got to print match details, I've got print details, which is quite useful. I could have made the names the same, but I'm making it a bit different. And the what we will find is when we run this, hopefully when we run this, we're going to get all sorts of information. Oh, actually our match is not there. Why is that? Self.player2 details. Let's have a look at why I don't have that there. So we have matches, and for match in self.list of matches, print match details. I might have a spelling mistake in here somewhere. All right. Can't see exactly where it is. I don't know what should be date. Should make a difference. Let's just test it out here and do see if I've got tournament 1 dot list of matches. Let's just see if I can print that out and see if I have anything in there. So I'm doing a bit of debugging now, which is fine. Good to see that we can do that on the fly. Let's see how we go. We've got a match object. We don't have list of matches. So our list of matches, let's see what happens if I do that beforehand. Oh, hold on. I think the problem is I actually needed to do this one after. Okay, so that's correct, although now I've got some problems. Player, Andrew, line 71's a problem. Print tournament details. And line 21. I should have just print this match details here. So let me just see if I can. Let me just pause and figure out what I'm doing at the moment. Okay, I can see the problem that I created there. I did self.name equals date. One of the problems of copying and pasting is that you don't always edit properly. So here we go. So there's a situation where I've now got the players and then I've got the matches. So I've got December 1, Andrew versus Fred. And I could carry on and continue on with this and actually do what happens when someone wins. When someone wins, we might update the match object with a who won. We might also update the players' details to see if I won, if Andrew won, then they get another win. The number of games are updated, so we can update those objects. So I'd be adding more and more attributes as I go along in an iterative approach. My design up front here covered most of the things I wanted to include. And if I was really good, I would have done a good database design up front. Not databases in it has to be in SQL, etc., but just a really good definition of all the data I want to include, and then start to push it in the different objects that I need to. And then I start looking at all the methods I need. Like I initialize, I'm pretty well going to use that all the time. But in the tournament, I created a join the tournament. So when someone enrolls in the tournament, I then created a print tournament. Now, of course, we're just printing simple text, but that could be a much, much more exciting graphical interface showing who's playing who and all that sort of stuff. But we're just making it very, very quick. So I'm going to have some sort of output of the tournament showing, if you like, the players and the prize money, the location, and also all the matches. So I could continue on with this particular example and add more and more methods and make it more and more useful as I go along. And that's another really good part of using objects, is that I can do it iteratively. I can say, no, my first goal was to create a tournament, create all the matches, create all the players, and print them. I'm not worried about who wins and who loses, etc. I'll do that next. And the next time I can update this by working on who wins, who loses, etc. So that's a good lesson to be learned. So what I recommend you do is have a look at this particular file. I might actually put this on next to the video, just so that if you'd like to download it, you can have a look and see if you can do that, and also add to it. We might do another example or two, just so you can see objects in action. And more importantly, how I'm thinking about building this program as I go along, all right, which is sort of like part really good design up front and part, if you like, building it as I go along. Now, of course, I'm building it as I go along because I'm demonstrating this on the video, but it's also a nice way of thinking about the way we really code in practice. Anyway, that's it for now, a bit of a longer video. So I hope you got lots out of that example. Give me a shout out in the comments if you like it, and certainly subscribe if you want to hear more. Have a great day.